Aaron Hevelin, later known as Aaron Corwin, was born in Oak Ridge, Tennessee on July 15, 1994. While she was in grade school, she befriended a boy named John Corwin. The two officially began dating in high school when Aaron was 16. John even asked permission from Aaron's parents before asking her out. 2 years later, in November 2012, the couple was married. John had recently joined the military, and in September 2013, the pair moved to a Marine base in 29 Palms, California, a city that's best known as the home of Joshua Tree National Park. The couple quickly became friends with other military couples, including Christopher Brandon Lee and his wife Nicole. When the husbands were away on duty, the wives would get together and hang out. When all the couples were together, they would have barbecues, watch TV, and enjoy each other's company. Everything was going well for the Corwins in their new home. However, things quickly changed. Like many newlywed couples, John and Aaron frequently argued over money. They would accuse each other of overspending, and their disagreements often ended in screaming matches. When Aaron got pregnant for the first time, the fighting seemed to stop. She, unfortunately, would have a miscarriage. John could not console his devastated wife, and they began to drift apart. At the same time, the Lees were also having some marital problems. While Chris Lee seemed to be a perfect fit for the Marines on the surface, the reality was much different. At least once he was reprimanded by a commanding officer for using rifles and rocket launchers like they were toys. Over time, Chris gained a reputation for being rash and reckless. His military performance started affecting his relationship with his wife and daughter, and he began to withdraw from them. 19-year-old Aaron Corwin and 27-year-old Christopher Lee began spending time together away from the rest of the group and their families. One night, while they were playing a video game in her and John's bedroom, the two would share their first kiss. Aaron and Chris would go on to have a full-blown affair. It briefly stopped when Chris's wife Nicole discovered texts between the pair and told John. They would continue their romance just weeks later behind their partners' backs. Chris even wrote a poem to Aaron saying, quote, "Like it or not, you still hold a piece of my heart. Ready or not, we were gonna get caught. Don't give up, and I won't too. Hopefully, like me, you still think I love you." End quote. Then on June 28, 2014, Aaron, who was pregnant again, this time with Chris's baby, vanished. She had told her mom and husband she was headed to Joshua Tree National Park to scout biking trails, but she never returned home. Initially, Aaron's mother believed her daughter may have just gotten lost in the park's vastness. That theory vanished quickly once Aaron's abandoned car was found outside the park a week later. On the last day he would see Aaron alive, John Corwin recalled the brief but loving conversation he had with his wife. Quote, "She had woken up and gotten dressed and kissed me goodbye. She said, 'Hey, I'm heading out for the day, and I love you.' I told her, 'I love you too,' and I rolled back over and went to sleep." End quote. It took 2 months, but Aaron's body was finally discovered in an abandoned mine shaft. Her body was so badly decomposed that the medical examiner could not confirm her pregnancy. It was determined that she had been strangled to death with a handmade garrote, and suspicion quickly fell on Lee. Chris initially told police that he was not responsible for her death and moved his family to Alaska to escape the situation. It later came out that he had been researching how to dispose of bodies online before her disappearance. Additionally, fired .22 caliber bullet casings and rebar found at the scene were matched to Lee by investigators. Officials concluded that he had killed Aaron because he was afraid his wife Nicole would take their 6-year-old daughter Liberty away from him. Christopher Brandon Lee was arrested in Alaska in August of 2014. While he initially pleaded not guilty to the crime, he eventually confessed to killing Aaron in August 2016. He claimed they had met outside the mine for what Aaron believed would be a romantic evening and possibly a marriage proposal. Erin had been texting her friend in Tennessee days before about how excited she was to take this trip with Chris. Chris said he had been playing Russian roulette at the scene and was entertaining thoughts of killing himself for a month because he was denied deployment. He also noted becoming enraged when Erin admitted to molesting his daughter. Lee claimed he directly asked Corwin if she abused his child, and she responded yes. Quote, "I made the decision to kill her. I was controlled by the anger. The hate I felt that day was something I never want to experience again." End quote. He said he garroted her from behind with a cord tied to 2 pieces of rebar. After she dropped to the ground, he checked her for vital signs. When he was sure she was dead, he threw her down the shaft head first. In November 2016, Christopher Brandon Lee was found guilty of first-degree murder in the death of Erin Corwin. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Lee appealed his case in 2018, but the California Supreme Court denied it outright, citing Lee's false claims of molestation as their reasoning. Erin's mom, Laura Hevelin, said she refuses to cling to bitterness over the ordeal, insisting Lee has taken so much from her already that she won't let him take her heart and soul too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.